If we're talking about people's goals towards a sustainable energy economy, societally there are a lot of people that get discouraged about like what technology do we actually have that can solve these problems? Like what technology do we actually have that means we can stop using gasoline in our cars, that means we can stop using natural gas in our houses, that means we can stop putting coal in our power plants. The technology and the science exists to be able to do these things. Just as a citizen, I feel a lot of responsibility towards, having an impact and wanting my research to have an impact. And I think to me, this kind of high risk, high reward work is necessary. It's kind of the risk we need to take in order to actually develop the things that are going to make a difference and have an impact. The Arnold and Mabel Beckman Foundation have done an admirable job of really investing in science research that is high risk, high reward. It's not the research that, is maybe simple or 100% destined to work, but it's the work that if it does work and the people that feel that they have maybe the creativity and the freedom to pursue it that are supported by the foundation, I think it helps them drive to actually achieve these goals and really have this impact. When I went to graduate school, I was looking for something where I felt like my science could really start to tease out the importance and nuances of chemistry that is important to energy conversion science. And so I actually had the opportunity to join a brand new professor's lab at Auburn University where I did my PhD, and he was interested in looking at different materials for solar cells. And so I had the opportunity to learn a lot about different types of solar cells and sort of the development of different solar cells over the last, 30, 40 years. But really what's interesting about that is those materials are wildly important. We're getting better at developing them and they're becoming a lot cheaper. But the main issue that we're always going to have with having a purely solar cell energy driven economy is that the sun is not always shining. And so what are we supposed to do when we have, high energy demand, but we don't have any sunlight to drive and form any electricity? And so I really like thinking about solar energy as a triangle. If we're hoping to get all of our, pertinent energy gathering from sunlight, we can do that with solar cells, which can directly convert sunlight into electricity. Or we can use that same energy to try and drive chemical reactions. And anytime we're forming or breaking chemical bonds, we're actually storing and releasing energy. And so I was fascinated by this idea that if we can use sunlight to directly make electricity, what if we use that same energy to make and break chemical bonds that we can store and release and use at any given time that we desire? So this is basically how, a hydrocarbon fuel works, something like gasoline. Being able to do something like that is a little less transient than something like sunlight, but still being able to use the power of sunlight to actually form those kinds of molecules became a really fascinating subject for me. When I originally came to UNC for my postdoc, I was working in the Center for Hybrid Approaches in Solar Energy to Liquid Fuels. And so this is really what introduced me to this sphere, which has been a really cool collaborative center at UNC. So that was the center that really allowed me to kind of get a broader perspective on this problem. And so we were really interested in taking sunlight and specifically making a liquid fuel. So there's all kinds of different fuels we can use. You may have heard of things like hydrogen fuel cells, which are the idea that we can maybe drive a car just using hydrogen gas. And that's a really fascinating idea because it's a low molecular weight fuel, but we have storage problems with that, and we'd have to sort of change our current economy to adapt to having hydrogen fuel cells. But if we could find a way to sort of emulate things like the hydrocarbon fuels that we already use, such as gasoline, but make them in a more sustainable way as opposed to making them from fossil fuels, then that's a great step forward to having this sort of carbon neutral, recyclable energy infrastructure where we're not having to, pump oil from the ground or use natural gas and things like that. The Arnold O. Beckman Postdoctoral Fellowship is a really unique postdoctoral fellowship in the current chemistry landscape, I would say. The Arnold and Mabel Beckman Foundation have really established this precedence for being very interested in funding fundamental chemistry research. And I was really excited about this opportunity to pursue things that I thought would be very impactful for society, such as trying to address the problems with climate change and creating technology that can help us sort of shift our energy infrastructure, but while also really trying to focus on the fundamental scientific and chemical problems that are not allowing us to reach our potential with these applications. That to me is really what the foundation is representative of, and is really representative of my own views of how we're going to solve all of these climate-related problems, is really being able to understand the fundamental chemistry that's going on. So I felt that the foundation was very representative of that goal, and I felt like my research would hopefully be something that would reflect well on their goals as well. I'm moving into my independent career, and I will be taking a faculty position at Middlebury College, which is a small liberal arts school in Vermont. Being a professor at a liberal arts school has 100% been my career goal for a very long time. The Arnold Beckman Fellowship has absolutely helped me achieve that goal. It really helped set me up for success as I really started to pursue these career goals and explore different science and chemistry research, particularly research that I'm really excited to carry to my next position in order to help inspire undergraduates to get excited about chemical research and about the things that chemical research can really help us achieve as a society. Thinking about Dr. Beckman's legacy and how philanthropic of a person he is, but also how passionate he was about getting scientific information disseminated to a broader audience and really thinking about the impact that that needs to have towards society and towards chemistry research. I think it's really important to me to also impart to any students that I'm training in the future that the impact they can have is limitless. It's totally related to what they're willing to pursue and how much they're willing to sell into whatever passions that they have. And it is 100% my goal to get students really engaged in research that I think can make a difference or get them really excited about those things. And so that's 100% something I'm excited to carry into my next stage.